Now you're welcome along to the football show. We're busy this evening. Later on we'll hear from Tom English over at the BBC in Scotland. They are through to their first championships in 23 years. We, as we know, are not, and we're in the midst of a three-game spell at the moment, beaten on Thursday, beaten last night, and Bulgaria to come at home Wednesday. We have commentary of that game, by the way, live for you if you can't find yourself at a TV on Wednesday evening. David Meyler, you're very welcome.
Joe, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm in good form. The performance yesterday then, give us your assessment of the game.
Good in large parts of the game. A lot of positive stuff again, but it's almost the same drum we're all beating. It's just where the goal's going to come from. I think that's the biggest thing. In the games that Stephen's been in charge, there's been some, great build-up play. A lot more possession, some intricate passing, some good movement, stuff like that. We're creating chances, but it's just a case of who's going to put their hand up and put the ball in the back of the net. That just seems to be our biggest problem. The biggest thing from that game yesterday, probably for me, was Wales found a way to win. In the past, Ireland, in the teams I've been involved in, we've found ways to win games. And at the moment, Stephen's just missing that bit of luck, I suppose, to, a ball to go in off someone's backside or something that will just get you over the line to get that first win.
So having played in teams that sometimes, to use your phrase there, find ways to win, what's the mentality of those types of teams, and do you see that at the moment?
Look, a lot of the lads I played with are still around. Of course, I would have played with John O'Shea, Robbie Keane, Shea Given, those lads. All right, yeah, they're gone a few years now, but in the sense that, like, James McLean just always found ways to pop up with big goals. If you look at the Wales game, certainly, Austria, even I think it's tonight. A few years ago, we beat Bosnia where Walter scored the 2 goals at home. Like, it's just kind of, there was always someone there who would put the ball in the back of the net. And I know James is still around, but it can't all rely on him. But it's just, somebody has to find a way to put the ball in the back of the net. Because we are creating chances. We'd be having a totally different conversation if we weren't, but we are. It's just that, and Adam is a young lad. He is still learning his trade. Like, he's not played a load of games at senior, never mind senior international football, but even at senior level, with Norwich. So we can't be too downhearted. Stephen's had a lot to face in his time, certainly in the games. Like, you look, I believe for the Bulgaria game, there's 12, senior players missing, which is remarkable. But at the same time, that can't really be used as an excuse because, there should be players available, which there are. So it's an opportunity for those who can step up and play.
It is tough, though. Like, he has had an incredibly disruptive start, there was no doubt, and they're missing 13 players now from the original squad for Bulgaria, and they're not just anybody as well. They're the likes of Seamus Coleman, Jeff Hendrick, Adam Ida, Malumbi's out, Enda Stevens missing, Aaron Connolly missing, Alan Brown, James McCarthy missing, Callum Robinson, John Egan, Harry Arter. Like, we can't cope with that, really.
No, but we have to.
I know, but in terms of being fair to Stephen Kenny here, like, that is,
Yeah, that is very tough. Look, it's like picking between your son and daughter at the moment, whether it's Seamus Coleman plays or Matt Doherty, right? That's fine. Obviously Matt is, obviously picked up coronavirus, so we hope he's all right, and the same with James. But then you'd have, right, either one of them plays fullback, then you'd have Egan alongside Duffy, and you'd have Enda. There's 3 of the back 4 gone. And even the toss-up between Seamus, that's the other one, is gone as well. So, like, there's 4, key defenders. Then, of course, look, Jeff has picked up the suspension, for the tackle. I think he has to make the tackle, really. Then you look at Harry Arter, could play. Malumbi has come on in massive strides since Stephen has taken over. Like, and then you've got Connolly, Callum Robinson, Adam Ida, who picked up an injury. It's just, there's nearly another 11 there. Randolph seems to be always fit and available, so that's good. But just all those players, it is, and it has been tough on him. But at the same time, Joe, he's got to find a way to get results. And we can sit here and say he's very unlucky, which he is, but we need results.
So in terms of the positives yesterday then, and the chances created, how many good chances did we create?
Well, how good is a chance? You know, if you think about it, it's only, you could talk about like how many times did the keeper have to make good saves. He did have 2 or 3 to make, but at the same time, they're only as good as, you know, the person on the end of it who's going to put it in the back of the net.
Yeah.
You know, we can talk about half chances or big chances. So there were chances. You know, I think certainly if you looked at, say, if you were to compare Adamida to, say, James Collins been around. I think James is the same age as me. I think he's 31. He's been around for years, you know, playing out through the leagues in English football. But even when he came on that 15 minutes, there was almost that natural goal scorer feeling on the pitch. And that's not to take nothing away from Adam at the same time. But James, any ball that kind of hopped, he wanted to, you know, shoot. Like he had, like, albeit they weren't fantastic efforts, but like, you know, that really troubled the keeper. But he looked lively. And it would be interesting. I'd like to see him, you know, go from the front and lead the line against Bulgaria.
And what are you seeing in general patterns of play then in Irish efforts to keep the ball? And like, you know, the way this conversation is increasingly being framed is that somehow Ireland trying to keep the ball is the reason they're losing. You know, it's not. You know, booting the ball long is not going to be more effective here. But in terms of general play, the quality of player and what they're doing, what are you seeing? Because at times, I must confess, you're watching the game last night. There are numerous times where you're looking at individuals and it's a poor touch or it's a misplaced pass and you're thinking, you should be doing better there.
Yeah, that comes down to the players themselves.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I looked at the England game the other night. It was a prime example of, look, I was on the following morning with the lads and I said, you've got to earn the right to play out from the back. Like at times, you know, Duffy was receiving the ball from a goal kick off Randolph and then he was playing to Cyrus. And it was a bit like, we don't need to keep playing all the time and, you know, inviting that pressure onto us. You gotta, I think last night was done better in the sense that we didn't always attempt to play out. It's kind of like finding that right balance. And, you know, England are a very good team. We got punished and we turned over possession a lot more than we should have. That were like unforced errors, kind of like trying to overemphasize the fact that, look, lads, we're here, we're at Wembley, we're playing against a good nation, we're going to play football and we're going to really implement our style. Like I think last night they found a better balance, certainly in the first half. I think they just, you're talking there about, yes, the touches, it's kind of, they're small little margins that players, you know, themselves will have to improve on.
And they will have to because the Kenny plan doesn't work unless they do that, unless they bridge that gap. And
well, not only the Kenny plan, but no plan works.
True, but we're talking about Stephen Kenny here. Yeah, no, I accept your point. No plan works. I mean, if we're going to play football, we have to play football. The interesting question is going to be whether over the next couple of games, and again, you know, the clock is starting to tick because World Cup qualification is around the corner, but over the next couple of games, as players become a bit more used to things, will that side of their games improve and suddenly a bit sharper, a bit more used to it, a bit more comfortable in those situations? Or will there just be some kind of ceiling and there will be an inconsistency to their touches and their passes because they're being put under pressure by other world-class players, and there is just a limit to the players we have at the moment?
Well, I wouldn't say there's a limit to the players we have. I think if you stop and, you know, step back and look at the bigger picture here, right? Are all of our players playing week in, week out? And the answer is no. And that does factor into, you know... But
isn't that because there is a limit to them? You know, there's a reason they're playing where they're playing or not playing. Like, we have to be realistic and we have to, you know, talk about things honestly.
I 100% agree. But I definitely, you know, like when it comes to them playing, if lads are coming in, like the big example I'll use, right, with Shane Duffy, right? And I know he's come into some criticism recently, and you know, I'm not here to bash Duffy, but in the first games under Stephen's tenure, you know, Duffy was a bit all over the place. Then he went to Celtic and he got himself into a bit of a rhythm, got himself into a bit of form, you know, got playing games. Now, look, it hasn't gone fantastically well for him in the last 2 or 3 games. He'd be the first to admit that himself. But you could see the progression in him from playing games. At the same time, we have a lot of lads that aren't playing enough games, so that when they come away with, you know, with Stephen and Keith and Damien, that they're ready for the games. You know, that's the big thing. If you're playing regular football, then it just kind of flows from one into the next. But like if you looked at the minutes of some of the players that are playing, they've not played significant football with their clubs. So then when you come away, you're going to struggle because you're not match fit, you're not match sharp. And then the biggest test is international football because you're playing against whatever country you're playing against the selected best players from that country that are available at that time. So it's going to be difficult. And that's the big thing for me is like, once the Bulgaria game is over, lads need to go away and they need to really knuckle down and get themselves regularly playing. Like if you looked, you can go through. We could go through the whole squad and kind of say like who's there, whatever. But those little details matter. That training is unopposed, as much as training can be a good standard, and you can rave on that it's going really well, but it's the matches that matter. When someone is really, really trying to stop you doing your job, they're really pressing you. Do you know what I mean? They're in your face. They're trying to get on the ball. They're trying to make it as difficult. Training sometimes pass you by, and you can't get that level unless you're playing games week in, week out.
That's a very fair point, and that explains some of the sloppiness that I'm talking about then. Yeah,
100%. Because, like I said, like in training, it's fine going up against people, and but it's nowhere near the same level as a match. When you go out and you're playing, where some of our lads are in the Championship or the Premier League, it's Saturday, Tuesday. Of course, with COVID, the Premier League have games more often. We have a couple of lads obviously playing the Europa League, so that's handy. But you can certainly tell the lads, in my opinion, who have played a lot of football, who are that bit sharper and that bit more switched on, opposed to the lads who haven't.
Ida, for instance, is not really getting many minutes. He's
well, that's the big thing for Adam. Yeah, that is the big thing for Adam, and he needs to find a way to get more minutes.
And have you liked him being given his chance of late? Like what we're seeing at the moment on Kenny's part is an investment here in Ida, and there's definitely some short-term pain for sure. But I mean, I'm not sure what his alternatives are.
Yeah, it seems. Look, I like Adam. I think he's a good young player, and I think he's going to have a fantastic career. Please God, he'll score tons and tons of goals for Ireland. But at the same time, he's learning his trade, and Stephen is giving him experience, which will only benefit us in the long run. It's one of those that you'll have your negative nanny sitting, kind of going, well, we've got this 19-year-old leading the line. Is he going to score? He's not playing. But at the same time, how many other strikers are knocking on the door to say like, well, put me in ahead of him? We don't have that. David McGoldrick is now retired, who probably would have been the one that was, Adam would have learned off him, but now Adam has been thrown into the deep end. And look, it's going to be tough for him, but he certainly in the games he's played, he's coming on, he's getting better. But the big thing, even for someone like Adam, is he needs to get back to Norwich and find a way to get into the team to be playing regular football.
Because the thing here, so 6 games and no goals, we're at a strange, it's almost like statistical anomaly point here. But if you stretch that out, that what's going on at the moment just out a little bit longer, like post Robbie Keane, we've always struggled for goals. Like you mentioned McLean, he hasn't scored since the Martin O'Neill era. It's not just under Stephen Kenny. Over the last 3 seasons, I was reading today in the Irish Examiner, Ireland have scored 3.5 seasons. Ireland have managed 20 goals. Shane Long hasn't scored, for instance, in 4 years. This is a post-Robbie Keane problem, far more than it is a Stephen Kenny creation at the moment.
Maybe as much as we all appreciate Robbie, but maybe we didn't appreciate him enough.
We appreciated him massively, and it wasn't even close to enough.
Yeah, in the sense that I think off the top of my head, I think Robbie's 147 caps, 68 goals, which is outrageous, which is unheard of. But even so, I know you brought up Longy there. Shane didn't feature much under Mick, didn't play with Martin at the back end of Martin's management, and then he's not really been involved with Stephen. So I think it's a bit unfair. But at the same time, you're right.
His goals per game isn't the issue, but the fact he's not featuring for a reason. It's an example, that we just haven't had anyone step in.
I know, and that's the worrying thing. If we were defenders, we could kind of say, well, you could teach a fella, but at the same time, strikers it's an art, to be able to be in the right place at the right time, to be able to put the ball in the back of the net. And at the moment, we don't have someone to do it regularly. We've not had someone, as you said there. It's kind of crazy when you hear that stats, and the amount of games we played over the past few years. even when you look at the big results we've had, the big results we've had in big games, they're only ever 1-0, or the Bosnian game I mentioned we won that 2-0. Do you know what I mean? So it's a tough one.
And that's why it's very tempting for people to text in and say, well, look, we just need to go back to being hard to beat and try and nick a goal, But I don't see a reason why we can't be hard to beat and stop conceding the silly goals we've conceded over the last while, but still try and, pass with some kind of methodology. Because otherwise, if we go back to just, the spirit of Richard Dunn in Moscow, if we go back to that, our only goals are going to come from chance. We're looking for a knockdown. There's no pattern. We're not in control of our own destiny here. It's just almost random chance, a ball falling to someone, or just out of nowhere a piece of football breaking out. Like, that's caveman stuff. We can't go back to that. And there was a good point yesterday made, I think it was by Eamon Sweeney in the Sunday Independent. He was saying, you watch the England game, a couple of times towards the end, probably out of fatigue and everything else, we booted the ball long, just get rid of it because we're under so much pressure. Sure, what happens? Only England regather possession instantly and come right back at us.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, but at the same time, we need to find the balance of it. That when we're not in possession, we have to be very solid and very hard to beat and be horrible. And you brought up Donny's performance at Moscow, a bit like that. But when we win possession back, that's when you break out into your patterns of play. What are we going to do? We're going to knock it round. We're going to, we're not going to turn over possession or just lump it long. That's the kind of Stephen needs to find the kind of balance of that. There's always moments in games, you're on top, you have that little dominant part of possession, and then you lose possession, the team gets a bit of rhythm going, they get a chance or they get a corner or, something, the momentum swings, that we then need to become difficult to beat. But then once we regain possession, turn it over, that we can break forward and express ourselves without, like you said, going back to lashing it long, hoping for the best, picking up a second ball, and then, just creating a chance that somebody ends up sticking the back of the net.
You could definitely see, a high pressing game in those first couple of Kenny games. There was clearly a point of emphasis. Is that enduring? Are we still seeing that? And to use your phrase, are we horrible enough to play against without the ball?
I don't think we're as horrible as we used to be. But then that might rely on personnel. Like if you look at the midfielders, say if I compare when I was in around this team, I'm totally different midfielder to say Jeff or Connor. Both very neat and tidy on the ball, get on it, make stuff happen, very intricate passing, good players. But I was the one who was, the enforcer, the one who kind of ran over people trying to win the ball back. So it's kind of different personalities. I think someone like Jason Malumbi has probably a bit more bite in him. So like against England, we probably were, looking back on it, we probably were a bit soft, and probably like there's been a lot made of, Matt Doherty's interview where he touched on being embarrassed, but it was almost, I think we were probably just throwing the towel a little bit, that the game kind of passed us by. So, you're talking about the high press. The only thing is, with the high presses, you have to know when you're going to do it, and then you can't just keep pressing and pressing that. Then, okay, they've beaten the press, let's drop back, be solid, be hard to beat, regather ourselves. So, definitely in the games, the Bulgaria, Finland games, we did press well. Wales yesterday, we did press well. I think, that's the good thing about, say, someone like James McLean in the team, because he's very fit. He can maintain that. And look, James won a lot of balls. The press has been good, but it's just, can we maintain it? And then knowing when to come off it, to be solid, to then say, right, here we go again. Do you know what I mean?
So a bit more horrible to play against would be good. In terms of nicking goals, in the short term, we're going to need everybody to chip in. We're going to need the odd free kick. We're going to need corners. We're still going to need Shane Duffy to head them in, and we're going to need a striker who can score a few. The patterns, though, do you like what you see there? The way we're moving. It's not ad hoc stuff. You're seeing players who know what they're meant to be doing, and the team who knows how they're trying to manipulate the ball and the opposition.
Yeah, well, you say that as almost as if, when I played under Martin or whatever, the lads who played under Mick, like that we didn't know what we were doing. We did. I think with the way they're playing, yes, they do know what they're doing. But they should know what they're doing. They're international footballers. It's a case of they've got to go out. I think what Stephen is re-emphasising is the playing, that the players have to take on the responsibility, that you can't just allow, for argument's sake, if Randall gives the ball to Duffy, if he faces a bit of pressure, he needs 2-3 options so people can pass him the ball, that we can't just allow him to smash the ball up the pitch, that we've got to take responsibility to make those angles. The biggest thing that you always hear ex-professionals talk about, being brave isn't necessarily going and tackling someone. It's about going and getting on the ball when someone is breathing down your neck to help your mate out. And I think we have done that. I think we've been better at it. Certainly in my time, there could have been more of it, definitely. But over the last few games, there definitely, there's been a lot of bravery. And I think the one player I'd single out that I've been impressed with is Jeff Hendrick.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of criticism. He's been much better.
Do you know what the thing is? All those people who give him criticism, look at him, right? In the sense that he goes and he gets on the ball everywhere. Now, yes, does Jeff give the ball away? Yes, he does, right? Fine. But Jeff is always the one trying to get the ball off the centre half. He doesn't hide. He goes and gets it. He tries to make things happen.
Yeah.
He's done that, look, for years. But that's the thing. He's now being, Stephen's deploying him in that deeper role. But he's getting on the ball a lot, and he's trying to make stuff happen.
Yeah.
And he's going to lose possession. Of course, some of the areas, there was certainly the one yesterday, I think it was Dan James nicked it off and he turned and he had the swipe out of him. Probably not the best area for Jeff to lose the ball, but at the same time, I think to him, fair play. He's really buying into what Stephen wants, and he's trying to be the man that controls the game for Ireland, who dictates the tempo, and he's making a huge effort at it, whereas other lads aren't doing the amount he is, and the criticism he gets is totally unfair. Sometimes
you're better off just hanging out in the background and not being as noticed. But you saw glimpses of his quality too. That little dink over the top for Horgan at Wembley, and that's where you want. That's where you presume the likes of Damien Duff and Keith Andrews and Stephen Kenny are just saying to Adam Ida, you need to be on the end of that. Come on, let's got to get there. Here, so we're in the midst of growing pains at the moment. To wrap this up, I'm afraid of the answer to this, because if I was to say to you, say you were on an opposition team to Ireland at the moment.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of opposition teams would much rather Ireland are playing this nice ball at the moment than if Ireland were just rolling the sleeves up. We're going to kick lumps out of you, and we're just going to keep piling the ball up to the big lad up top and look for second balls off him for 90 minutes, and it's going to be war. I suspect a lot of opposition teams would say, oh, that would be a nightmare 90 minutes. But the point we're making here is that has a lower ceiling ultimately. That has a shorter shelf life ultimately, is it?
Well, I think if the big thing I take, right, would be the post-match interviews yesterday. I saw Ben Davis speaking and I saw Gareth Bale speaking. And they both said we knew what kind of game it was going to be. It was going to be, a tougher game. Even when I go back to, the draw at the Aviva, Aaron Ramsey spoke after and he said we knew how difficult they would be to play against us. And he kind of made a tongue-in-cheek remark like that they've got this new philosophy of playing. So at the same time, these lads have played against us over the years, from probably 2016 onwards, 17. So they've played against us numerous times where we've gone for the inverted commas long ball, being that dogged team that was really hard to beat, to now changing to a more passing, and they're still saying it's a tough team to play against. So yes, we're changing our philosophy and there's more passages of play. We're getting on the ball. We're trying to be more, possession-based team. But at the same time, the opposition we've played against have said that we're still as, difficult to play against. So that can only, in my mind, be a positive.
Yeah, unless that's just something that players say in interviews, They are, players lie as well.
Yeah, they do. Not everyone is honest. They're all media trained.
Yeah, but so we'll see tomorrow. Look, we listed off the players missing there, and the Matt Doherty news broke today as well. He's struck down with COVID as well. This has been really, really difficult. It couldn't have been more messy for Stephen Kenny. It's been really tricky. A win tomorrow would, one, stave off potential relegation in the Nations League. It would, Wednesday, stave off relegation in the Nations League. It would keep our pot 2 hopes alive in the World Cup. Like, we are right on the precipice now, so that is important. Like, there is a pragmatic point to Wednesday, and then maybe of similar importance, it would just, David, be a little bit of coolant on this brewing sense of, oh, this new style isn't working out so well, which is, you know, is there to some degree or other from people watching it. And even if you disagree with them, you know, and it's hard to argue with them if the results refuse to come.
I think the big thing about tomorrow night's game is
Wednesday. What day? What are we both at here? Sorry,
I know.
My fault. Wednesday. It's Monday. It's Monday,
Wednesday.
everyone.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, it's still Monday.
Oh no, sorry, apologies. I think the big thing about the Bulgaria game is I want them to get a result, because every time I listen to, you know, one of the players speaking, or, you know, even Stephen, the manager, there's just that sense of, you know, frustration that we've not been able to get a result when the performances have warranted results, that they've not been able to get one. And I just want them to get one, to kind of get that one off the shoulder, that it's done. You know, somebody has scored a goal, and then it's a case of we've won a game, and then that lift that will give it, you know, give the group going into the March, when the World Cup qualifiers start, and that it's kind of, regardless of, look, it won't be great to be relegated. Of course, look, if we're pot 3 rather than pot 2, that's, you know, we're more inclined to get, you know, bigger nations, of course, which would make the qualifying group a lot tougher. But at the same time, I just want them to get the win, for the fact of, I think the group deserve it. They've been doing well, and, you know, there's just been so much. Well, there's been negativity around the place, from all different angles, and I think they've deserved the result over the way they've played, and, you know, in the games. And look, I just hope that Wednesday night is the time that they can get it. Yeah,
it'd be great. It'd be great. Excellent as always, David Meyler. Thanks so much.
Cheers, Joe.
Cheers. David Meyler there, giving us his thoughts on where Ireland are. We have that game again live on Wednesday. Hopefully it's an Ireland win at last. And we have Tom English from Scotland. They're obviously going to the Euros. We'll talk to Tom English next over in BBC Scotland.